ready to the countdown.
বারকি বুনভুনাই 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 বারকি বুনভুনাই বুনভুনাই বুনভুনাই
Rani, here we go. Mash up the place. Hey, 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 hey.
ओ बरका देखे चौरी तो बरकी बुनभुनाई ओ बरका ताके लड़की तो बरकी बुनभुनाई ओ बरका देखे चौरी तो बरकी बुनभुनाई बरकी बुनभुनाई 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 बरकी बुनभुनाई 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 ओ बरका देखे चौरी तो बरकी बुनभुनाई ओ बरका ताके लड़की
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Legends and Icons podcast, episode 4. I'd like to thank you all once again for continuing to share and continuing to show your love to the podcast. And who knows, definitely next year we'll be applying for the iHeart Podcast Award, so we'll see what happens with that, right? Remember, folks, if you have birthday greetings, wedding anniversary greetings, whatever it may be, we'll gladly shout it out on the air and give you a shout out. All you have to do is hit me up on Facebook, or you can email me at j-rath@hotmail.com. I want to welcome on board our premier sponsor, Dr. Chris Ramdeen, specialist in internal medicine. So once again, Dr. Chris Ramdeen, and do be sure to check out his website, ramdeenmd.com. And he's going to be on the program today to tell us a little bit about diabetes, the dangers, the causes, treatment, and how to go about living with it. So that's coming up in just a few. Stay tuned for that. Also coming up, we've got an exclusive interview with everyone's favorite videographer, John from Queens, and he's going to talk a little bit about what he does, who he is, and some of the crap he faces in this community. I mean, who doesn't, right? He faces it as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and enlighten you a bit. So that's coming up in just a few. Of course, we want to also shout out the two-time Ghana Chutney Queen, Fiona Singh, and congratulate her on her brand new release. It's definitely climbing the charts with her new song, Meri Gaon Ke. As a matter of fact, let's play it right now. Here it goes.
मेरी गाँव की सारी छुरी डाले दूल्हे
Right about now, folks, I'm going to turn the mic over to Dr. Chris Ramdeen, and he's going to talk to you a little bit about diabetes, the treatments, and how to live with it. So, Dr. Chris Ramdeen, the mic is yours.
Before we talk about diabetes, it's important to understand that when we ingest carbohydrates or sugars, they're enzymatically broken down into the building block glucose. The glucose is then absorbed by our digestive tract into the bloodstream, and then the pancreas secretes insulin to pull that blood sugar out of the bloodstream and into the cells. Now, in diabetes, the blood sugar remains elevated. Why? Because either the pancreas is not secreting enough insulin, or the body is resisting the effects of the insulin that is there. In other words, insulin resistance. In type 1 diabetes, patients tend to not produce insulin, and so this one tends to be diagnosed earlier in life. In type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance occurs over time, usually as a result of a carbohydrate-rich diet and a lack of exercise. When you have diabetes, this can affect your blood vessels, both large blood vessels and small blood vessels. The large blood vessel or macrovascular complications tend to be in the arteries leading to the heart because of plaque building up on the walls of those arteries. Now, this is coronary artery disease in the setting of atherosclerosis. Also, the small blood vessels can be affected by diabetes in a way that can cause you eye problems or retinopathy, kidney problems to cause nephropathy, and even nerve problems to cause neuropathy. Now, the neuropathy tends to result in decreased sensation starting in your feet and then ending up in your hands. This is why we have the term stocking glove distribution of neuropathy. It's important to note that 10 to 18% of patients who are newly diagnosed with diabetes already have neuropathy. This suggests that the neuropathy is beginning in the phase before diabetes or in pre-diabetes, which can only be diagnosed on lab testing that you need to do as part of a preventative care plan with your physician.
Now remember, folks, you can always send Dr. Ramdeen your questions, comments, concerns. You can go to his website. That's ramdeenmd.com. ramdeenmd.com, and you can send him your questions there. Email him. I believe he has a phone number there too. So once again, that's ramdeenmd.com.
चोरी से काटी है यहाँ वहाँ रूठी हूँ मैं तुझसे रूठी हूँ मुझे मना लेना ओ जाने जा
छेड़ेंगे हम तुझको लड़की तू है बड़ी बुम्बाट
Well, without further ado, let's get right into this interview with everybody's favorite videographer, Mr. John from Queens. Well, John, welcome to the studio. And although it was a few days ago, happy belated Diwali, I guess. And I hope all is well. And how you doing? And tell us who you are and what you do.
Namaste, Jason, and all the awesome listeners. Thanks for having me on the first Legends and Icons podcast. I really appreciate it. I would like to also wish everyone a very happy Diwali. For those of you who may not know me, John from Queens, I am mainly known from what I call the famous John from Queens YouTube channels, which at this time has over 26 million total video views. The two channels are youtube.com/John from Queens and youtube.com/John from Queens 3. And that's spelled JONFROMQUEENS, and add a 3 for the other channel.
So, John, tell me, when did you get into photography, videography? How did you know what was your calling?
I first got into photography, pictures, videography, black and white photography, when I was a young teenager. I experimented with almost everything, such as taking color slides, developing black and white photos on an enlarger, filming birds, filming stars with long exposure photography, just to name a few. I developed the love of photography from my father.
Now, obviously, when folks look at you, you're a few shades lighter than brown. I believe you're of Italian descent, if I'm not mistaken. And so how did you get into the West Indian culture, the Indo-Caribbean culture? What made you love it so much, and how were you introduced to it?
I loved Caribbean culture from way back when I was a teenager growing up in East Flatbush, Brooklyn. I started to get to know about Indo-Caribbean culture and music from when I started hanging out in Queens, West Indian bars and clubs such as Soca Paradise, Calypso City, Benab, and The Parrot on Liberty Avenue. I always had a great time and was hooked ever since.
And on your YouTube channel, or channels I should say, I know you mentioned you have two of them, what kind of videos can we find there? What different genres are available?
On John from Queens and John from Queens 3 YouTube channels, there is extreme variety of content such as videos of planes, cruises I've been on and their destinations, including Italy, Mexico, and the Caribbean, planes landing in St. Martin, live chutney shows, music videos, Indian dancers and dance groups, Pagua parades and shows, Trinidad Carnival videos I film myself, artists shouting out endorsing John from Queens, the John from Queens show, lunar eclipse, and so much more.
And what about artists? Do you have one particular artist who's a favorite of yours?
There are so many artists who were so nice to me by doing so much for me when I was kind of just starting off. They saw something special in John from Queens. I appreciate them all, but if I were to mention even 100 names and left some people out, I would feel really bad. They are all fantastic, but having said that, I feel very close to Hitman for some reason. I think it's his sense of humor.
And I know you've been the target of many different forms of hate. What do you feel causes this? How do you handle it? And how can it be avoided?
Well, I am a target of hate. It's because of my success. I cringe when I see a nasty comment on a video, especially if it's about me personally. What's worst is the secret haters, all the people who dislike me on Facebook, but don't unfriend me because they want to see my continued rise in fame, which bothers them a lot.
Well, John, one thing I really respect about you is that given all that you do and the time that you spend, the work that you put in, you never take $1 for it. It's just out of your pure love for the community and the culture. And, I respect you a lot for that. But I also have to ask you why. Why don't you ever take anything?
I am, I guess, what you may call a videographer philanthropist. I am not a hired photographer because I have a well-paid regular job, and so I don't need to take money from anybody. And my intention has always been to share an awesome live performance in clear HD as recorded history for everyone to enjoy for many years to come.
Well, John from Queens, thank you very much. It has been a pleasure having you here on the Legends and Icons podcast. And I definitely look forward to hearing more from you, and we'll definitely be working together again in the near future. So before you go, is there anything else you'd like to say? Anyone you'd like to shout out? And how can folks go about getting in touch with you if they do need you?
Well, Jason, it's been a pleasure to be on the first Legends and Icons podcast. Thanks for having me, John from Queens, on. I thank all the viewers for tuning in and also for supporting the John from Queens YouTube channels and other social media. People can follow me on most social media platforms as follows. YouTube, it's John from Queens and John from Queens 3 YouTube channels. That's youtube.com/JONFROMQUEENS. And the other channel, you just add a 3. Facebook, You could follow me on Facebook, my fan page. That's facebook.com/John from Queens. Instagram, it's also John from Queens, John from Queens 2, John from Queens 3, 4, and 5. I have 5 Instagram pages, all the crazy pictures there. Twitter, it's twitter.com/John from Queens. And you could email me at johnfromqueens@gmail.com. If you sing, dance, you want to do a John from Queens shout out, if you do karaoke, or even if you're a professional singer or band, you could contact me, or you could just send me the video or video link direct to johnfromqueens@gmail.com, and we could discuss it. I'll put it on the John from Queens YouTube channel for free. Thanks again, Jason. I appreciate it.
Well, there you have it, folks. The one and only John from Queens. Check him out on YouTube. Check him out on Facebook. Check him out when you see him. John from Queens, thank you very much. Let's get right back to the music, folks.
मौसी रसोई ये हलवा अब मौसी
Well, folks, that's just about the end of this week's Legends and Icons podcast, episode 4. And don't forget, with the next podcast, I'll be announcing the winner of the Bell of the Year 2018 competition, and she'll also be doing an interview here, so make sure you check that out. We'll be announcing who the winner is, and don't forget the winner will be crowned at Dheeraj Gairam's Hangama, happening December 1st at the Susan B. Anthony School. We'll be telling you more about that as the weeks go by and the days go by. Until then, folks, I do wish you a very safe week ahead. Enjoy the rest of the week, and be safe, be responsible. The holidays are around the corner, so as you start your shopping, as you start your family get-togethers, always remember, don't drink and drive, arrive alive. This is yours truly, Jason Dashrath, saying good night, God bless. And as I say each and every podcast, remember, leave home with a smile. I guarantee you'll come back with a smile. Have a great one, everybody. And do be sure to tune in to the next podcast coming soon.